Catus Maximus here. This time we're talking about this vintage Imperial Eastman small tubing cutter, and it is one of the nicest that I've seen. And whenever I say that, there's always going to be something probably nicer, but this, for an American-made tool, pretty darn nice. Coming out of Chicago, Illinois. This is the Imperial Brass Company, and then there was an Eastman Hydraulics Company, and they merged like in the 1960s, and then in the 1990s they were sold to another tool company called Stride, which then got bought up by Diversitech, which is a huge company that's is basically taking over all the heating, the HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, both hand tools, power tools, production equipment. And they've been buying out a lot of brands. So that's what happened to the Imperial Brass Company from 1903 as they merged with Eastman, not related to the Eastman Kodak, and now are part of Diversitech. And no, they're not quite made like this anymore. First, we have just a nice, beautiful, high-definition casting here. This little undercut that's in these rollers, if you're trying to cut the end off a flared tubing, so you have a piece of tubing and then it flares out so that it will hold a nut and you can use what's known as a banjo fitting, or excuse me, not a banjo, but a compression nut on it. That flare sticks out from the wall of the tube, so that's just an undercut, so that flare can sit in there and you can cut right close to it. So it isn't just a beautiful chrome finish. What I really kind of got me was just how smooth this thing runs. I mean, I can just spin that down, and there's like quite a bit of mass with this handle, but I mean, it runs exceptionally smoothly. It's really pretty surprising. And so one of the patents is due to that, and I'll show you that in a second. They actually got a second patent, so it has a reamer. So once you've cut the tubing, this roller here kind of mushes, as it's pushing in, it kind of mushes in a little bit of a lip on the inside of the tube. And so this is just simply I think we gotta pull it down. It has like a little locking mechanism, so you can push it up and it doesn't want to fall out. So you slide it down and then do that again and it locks it in. So that's just a little reamer for the average size tubing you'll be using with this. And the second patent, it actually is this. I was wondering, what the heck is that? That is a spare wheel inside of the tool itself, which is something I've never seen before, to tell you the truth. And they actually managed to get a second patent for that. The first patent, at least filed in 1949, was for this cutter. And what sets it apart, we can see how it works, is there's an internal threaded screw and a square bore, which is how the rod moves back and forth. And then that's captured by this internal nut. And then you have the handle, which is put over the top of that and has a screw retaining it. Whoop. But if we look, that's what's inside there. That is a ball bearing. So we have a 4-ball thrust rolling bearing inside of a tubing cutter, which is pretty surprising. That's a nice high quality touch and makes it operate ultra smoothly. So I do have a more modern rigid, slightly larger size, so this rigid operates pretty smoothly, but there's a couple things about it. Even though I would say it's a rigid, it's a nice one, but it certainly is not what this Imperial Brass is. But this has a couple modern features, well, one modern feature I should say, which is a quick release. Well, two, quick release and a spring. So you can do your cutting and then you can just press on this and that will shoot that back automatically. And then when you get to the tubing size that you want on the newer rigid, you can just push it down and then start doing your cuts. So those are a couple features of a modern one, which I do like. But still, this old Imperial Brass is really pretty darn nice. They even inserted a little chrome cap so you don't have to look at the little screw that's retaining the handle on it. So anyway, the wheels usually stay pretty darn sharp. You can cut mild steel and all sorts of stuff. You just can't cut hardened steel, and you can't cut solid rod. But I'm pretty sure I'll be able to use this. It's more than sharp enough to cut some plastic tubing here. Well, I'm hoping it will. No, it's just not quite rigid enough. Well, anyway, I don't have any tubing to really test with this at the moment, but just wanted to share that with you all. I actually haven't done like a comparison video of tubing cutters. I've talked about some rigids, so eventually we'll catch up on that. I kind of like the small size the way it's designed versus like this. They would have had to have a big knob on it to hold the plunge rod. I think this one's just kind of neat because you don't have, it doesn't shift back and forth. The handle just stays in the same place. So anyway, ball bearing tubing cutter. Thought it was pretty cool and just wanted to share it. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.